Hello, all my friends in TV land. This is Senior Issues, etc. I'm your host, Vita Verdon. I never know whether to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening because it's seen at so many different times in so many different places that I've just decided on the one hello. And you know, I listen to all your requests and I really work hard at bringing you information that would be beneficial for you. And so today's show is very informative for you. So I want you to hurry up, get your tea, get your coffee, get your Coke, come and sit down and bring a paper and pencil with you because this one's for you. This is something that you're going to have to write down this information because we're just giving you a taste of it today, but you're going to want to get a lot more information. And what this show is about is the state's attorney's office in Lake County. And I have one of their representatives here, a lawyer, one of the attorneys from the state's attorney's office, and he's going to tell us, you know, what their job is, what they're doing, how they're helping us, you and me, you know, what they got, the goods they got for us. And so I want you to sit back and relax and give a warm welcome to Mike Nerheim. Mike, it's so good to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
And you just look right into that camera. Sure. And what I want you to do is, see, I know these guys out there. We've, over the last 15 years, you know, we've become close friends. I meet them on the street and everything. And so they'd like to know, like, something about you.
Sure.
You know, about where were you raised and are you married? And what are you about, okay?
Absolutely. Well, my name's Mike Nerheim, and I'm the Lake County State's Attorney, which means I'm elected to serve everybody in Lake County as their state's attorney. I'm married. I have 3 beautiful children, Mason, Gracie, and Matthew.
Where were you raised? Wait a minute before we get there.
All right.
Where were you raised?
I was born and raised in Waukegan and lived there most of my life, and I live in Gurnee now with my family.
All right, so first of all, we want your wife's name.
Andrea.
Andrea, and you know, we don't give small, we give big, we call smackaroonies. So one for her there.
All right.
And okay, now there's an 11-year-old.
There's an 11-year-old Mason.
All right, right there, one smackaroony
All
for
right.
him.
That'll embarrass him, I'm sure.
Oh, so, and then it's the girl, right?
Gracie.
Okay, another one for her. And then the 5-year-old?
Matthew.
One for him.
All right.
So then, where did you go to school?
I went to John Marshall Law School in Chicago, and prior to that, I went to undergrad at Winona State in Minnesota, which is where my wife and I met, which was interesting.
So your wife is from Minnesota?
No, it's funny. I was born and raised in Waukegan. She was born and raised in Mundelein, and
You're kidding.
We met in Minnesota for the first time.
What was she doing in Minnesota?
She was going to Winona State as well.
Oh,
so, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so then, when did it come about that you wanted to, well, you knew you wanted to be an attorney, but when did the lightning bolt hit you wanted to be for a state's attorney?
Well, I'd worked, my first job out of law school was as an assistant state's attorney, and I worked in the state's attorney's office here in Waukegan. And actually prior to that, I did 5 internships in the office every summer from my junior year in college all through law school. So I really got to know the way the office works, and actually by doing all those internships, every single job that there is in that office, I've done it.
I want to ask you something about the internship. Now, the internship, that you do jobs for the attorneys, right?
Right.
And so you have to know all the preparation work, right?
I've answered the phones, I've filed files, I've done case law research, and anything we can do to help the attorneys or the victim coordinators, anybody that works in the office, the internships are really a nice opportunity to get to see how the office works and how the legal system works.
Now, one of the things I think that our audience would like to know is, could you go into a little bit of depth on what the state's attorney's office does?
Right, yeah, that's a great question because a lot of people don't know.
Yes, I know that.
So there's 102 counties in Illinois, and every county has an elected state's attorney. So for example, I'm the elected state's attorney in Lake County. DuPage County has Mr. Bob Berlin, who is their elected state's attorney, and so on and so forth. And depending on the size of the county, there's an office of support staff that work to help support the state's attorney. In a lot of counties in Illinois, when you get further south where they don't have the population that we have here, there may be just the elected state's attorney and maybe an assistant, and that's it. In Lake County, we have the third biggest state's attorney's office in the state. There's 150 people that work in my office that work for you and all the people of Lake County. And we have, certainly we have attorneys, but we also have paralegals, we have victim coordinators, we have investigators. There's just a lot of pieces to the puzzle and the machinery that make us effective at what we do. It's not just simply attorneys in the office.
It's not simply blanket attorneys. There's
Right.
separate departments that make up the whole machinery.
Right.
All right. Now, what part of the machinery do you fit into?
Well, I'm at the top of the ladder, so I oversee the entire office. And then our office is broken up into two big divisions. There's the civil division and the criminal division. Most people, when they think of the state's attorney's office, they think of the criminal division.
Right.
And that is the part of the office that prosecutes criminal behavior. So any violation of state law, whether it's a traffic ticket or a murder, if it happens in Lake County, anywhere in Lake County, our office is responsible for prosecuting those cases. On the civil side, and that's kind of the unknown part of our office, a lot of people aren't aware that we even do civil work. Those folks represent all the county elected officials. They're the attorneys for the elected officials, and they're also the attorneys for the county. So if the county gets sued, or if the sheriff were to get sued, for example, our office would represent that county official or the county in those civil suits.
So it's like protection for the governmental body.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, but that doesn't mix with the criminal side.
There is sometimes some overlap. But for example, a lot of work we do with gangs. There are civil things we can do with regard to filing lawsuits, for example, against street gangs. But most of the work we do with that is on the criminal side. And on the criminal side of the fence, we have the office is broken down into a lot of different units because I believe in specialized prosecution, wherein we pick the attorneys in the office that are suited to prosecuting a certain type of case or people that like to handle a certain type of case, and we break them down into certain units. So for example, we have a domestic violence
Depending
unit.
on their skill or their
Depending on their
knowledge
skill
or
and their
experience?
knowledge. And an example of why that's important is you can have somebody, when you talk about cases involving children, for example.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we have an awful lot of cases where there are children that are either physically or sexually abused. And those victims, those are certainly a very important type of case, and it's very important that those victims feel comfortable when they come through the system, or as comfortable as possible. So you can be the smartest attorney in the world that went to the best law school in the country, but if you can't make a victim feel comfortable, then you're really not suited for that particular division. And there's certain attorneys that like, for example, white-collar cases. Some attorneys don't. So we try to determine where people's skills are.
Where their skills and their gift
Exactly,
lies.
exactly.
Because then they're going to do a better job.
Right. So, and then we have...
I want to ask you a question here.
Sure.
Okay, so say somebody is representing on the criminal side. Can they lap over and work on the civil side if it takes in both sides of the matter? Or do
Absolutely.
they need to engage another attorney on the civil side?
The civil attorneys handle the civil cases and the criminal attorneys handle the criminal cases.
Right.
But we have had situations where somebody in the civil division has said, you know what, I think I want to try criminal cases. So we've moved them into the criminal division and vice versa. But our criminal division is broken up into, we have a specialized victims unit which handles the sexual assault cases. We have a domestic violence unit that handles all domestic violence cases. We have a white collar and cybercrime unit that handles all those types of cases. We have a gang and narcotics unit. And
What is that last one?
gang and narcotics. So,
Gang, and you mean the street gangs?
Right.
Is that what you're
right.
talking about?
And unfortunately, we have in Lake County a pretty significant street gang problem that our gang unit is working on. And we work with our law enforcement partners, whether it be the FBI, the DEA, the Sheriff's Department, or all the, there's over 45 different police departments in Lake County. And our job is to make sure that everybody's working together in a coordinated effort.
But there's a heavy effort of gangs?
Absolutely.
In any certain section of Lake County?
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I have a map in my office where I have all the known gang spots that are outlined throughout Lake County. And we see what you might expect. We certainly see hot spots in areas like North Chicago and Waukegan and Zion. We see the western area through there when you get into the Round Lake areas of the county. In the southern part of Mundelein, there's some gang activity. But what's striking about that map is there's really gang activity everywhere in the county. Even in some of our more predominant areas, you know, you may not have gang houses, for example, but you do have anywhere you have a thoroughfare. So if you have Route 41 going through a community, you're going to have drug trade going through those areas. You also, what we see sadly is we're going through really a problem right now with regard to heroin and certain opiate drugs.
Really?
Yes, and we've seen young people sadly die all throughout Lake County, and those drugs are predominantly being brought into our community by street gangs.
Oh, well, we're going to get back to it, but right now what we're going to go to is Vita's Pearls of Wisdom. And you know, in my Pearls of Wisdom, I always have little tips, and you have to pay attention to these tips because you're going to benefit by it. And one of the things that I keep telling you over and over again, but it's because you need to hear it, is I know practically all of you that are watching me take some sort of vitamin. And you have to remember that when you take vitamins, if you don't take a vitamin with some sort of food intake, you're not getting the benefit of the vitamin, and the only thing that benefits by it is your toilet, because it's going to go right down the toilet. And so remember that when you're taking your vitamins, to be sure to take a certain amount of food with it. Now the next thing is, and this is something that we often overlook, is we leave things on the floor. And I know last time I talked to you about if you get up at night, sit at the edge of your bed, don't just jump up because you could be dizzy, and always have some sort of a nightlight to lead you into the bathroom. And be sure that the paths are clean, and that if you have, now I have a plate in my leg from a fall I had about 12 years ago, so I don't have any loose rugs on my floor, and I don't have any chairs in my apartment that have casters on the bottom of them, because it could cause me to have another fall, and that I really don't need. So I really make sure that I don't have anything on the floor, that all my paths are clear. And you see, what happens with these rugs, if it's a rug and the lighting isn't really good and you're a little bit groggy and you're over 80 years old like me, your foot can go underneath and you can cause yourself a really bad fall. Now, I want all of you that have computers to go into our website, and our website is Senior Issues, etc. Etc. is ETC, and that you can see all the areas that the show is seen, because it will show all the communities and the little villages underneath them. And if you want to see like any recent show, on the home page, scroll down, and then there is a link. And in that link, just press that link, and this show that we're filming will be in Lake County, will be on Tuesday, which would be January 20th, on Channel 17 at 8 o'clock. And all the other communities, you'll find it listed on the website. So you can go back on your favorite shows and see it over and over again. Now, these shows have been fashioned over things you want to hear that you're not getting from any of the main television stations. And I think that we can attribute that that is truly the success of the show, that we have never attempted to sell you anything, to try to fool you on any issue, but bring you the truth of what's available for you as a senior or any person, the services that we live in a rich country, and there are all kinds of things available to us. And we bring this information forward, and this information that we're bringing forward is only to dip it in. And now, as we go back to Mike, he's going to talk to you about a brochure he has, Be a Savvy Senior. And I just want you to have just something, signs of financial abuse. Have you let someone else use your ATM card or credit card? Has someone convinced you to sign a blank check for someone else to cash? But there's all kinds of information to help you and protect you. And you know what? Unless you keep those little gray cells going up here, if you don't use them, you're going to lose it. And you know what our goal is? Our goal is to live forever and to carry on, and we could do it because we're the first generation that has lived this long, and it's due to technology, it's due to everything that's happened, you know, and the advances in medicine. And so now what we're going to get back to is the different programs, and I'm going to have Mike tell you about this brochure and how it's available to you, and you're going to want it because it's got valuable information for you.
Absolutely.
Tell him, Mike.
Well, this brochure is it's put out by the Illinois Department of Aging, and we have these in our office. I think they're going to put a graphic up on the screen showing this. Anybody can contact the State of Illinois Department of Aging and get a copy of these brochures. We also have them in our office, so anybody can come by. If somebody has perhaps the director of a senior center or they're in charge of a group and they would like us to bring some out to them, we'd be happy to do that. The other thing I would put out there, and I know you had mentioned earlier in the show that we're just touching the surface on a lot of these issues. We talked briefly about heroin and gangs. We'll talk in a minute a little bit about senior issues like financial identity theft, elder abuse. Every one of those topics, we could probably spend a couple hours talking about just each topic. So what we want to do is offer the opportunity for people, if they want to learn more, go on our website. There's a lot of information on our website. If anybody would like us to come out and give a presentation, whether it's to a group of seniors, whether it's to a school or anything regarding any range of topics from elder abuse to drug abuse to gang issues, texting or sexting. We see these issues a lot with computer safety. There are so many different issues that we get involved in Lake County that we would be more than happy to come out and talk to a group, big or small, because it's our belief in my office that if we can prevent crime from happening in the first place, that's what we should be doing.
Well, I want to mention, it just doesn't have to be seniors. It could be across the board. You could talk about gangs. You could talk about, you know, child abuse. You could talk about a multitude of subjects. What I wanted to dip in on is you were elected 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
You were elected 2 years, and how long is your term?
It's a 4-year term.
It's a 4-year term. And then you have to be reelected.
Right.
Right. So you then
I hope.
so you have to get into the swing like of doing that.
Right.
Well, you seem to have like a wide range. Let's go into like some of the other programs. This just happens to be one of the programs. So I want to emphasize this because this has got a lot of information on it that you can, there's a direct line to you in your office, right?
Absolutely.
There's a direct line, or they can go onto the website, and so they can contact many different ways, or they can go online.
Right.
They can go online and they can get it. So you know, push and you can get that. But there's a lot of other programs you have going on too, right?
Absolutely. We're very active in the community, and we do try to get out and we'll talk to schools, we'll talk to senior centers, basically anybody that'll have us. And we've talked to groups of 500, we've talked to groups of 3 people. Because again, we really do want to get out there and try to inform the public. And we've recently in Illinois, we enacted, or the legislature enacted the concealed carry law, which allowed people to carry a concealed firearm. We were the last state in the country to enact that law, but it was a very new thing for a lot of people in Lake County. So we partnered with the Sheriff's Department and we put on a series of educational forums throughout Lake County and invited people to come out and learn about that law. Because we want people to be law-abiding and we want people to know the law and certainly follow the law.
Well, what does that mean? They can carry a concealed but not into a bar, right?
Right. There's a lot of restrictions with that. So first of all, you have to take a class, and you have to you have to pass the class, and there's a 16-hour class that you have to go through, and then you have to fill out your application and pass a background check and things like that. And then once you receive that permit, You're right. It doesn't allow you to carry a firearm everywhere. And in fact, if you have questions, or if anybody has questions about that, they can go on our website, and there's some information
Of course,
there.
the firearm has to be legal. You have to have a license for it.
Right.
Unfortunately, the ones that don't have the license are the criminals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It has to be concealed. And if you notice when you go around throughout Lake County or anywhere in the state, when you go into a shop, you may see one of those signs, a sticker on the door that has a picture of a handgun and the kind of the Ghostbusters red line through it.
And that means no guns
That
in
means
there.
you can't bring your gun in. So if you were to own a beauty salon, for example, and I had a concealed carry permit and I had a gun on me and I wanted to come in and get my hair cut, if you've put that sign on the window, I can't bring my gun in there. So there's a lot of restrictions there, and I do encourage people to certainly follow up, learn the law, know the law. If they have questions, ask, because we don't want people that are well-intentioned to accidentally commit a felony or certainly any type of violation of the law.
Well, what is one of the primary biggest question that people call the Lake County State's Attorney Office?
What we do, we get a lot of questions, and I do say this, the women that answer the phone, the two women that answer the phone in our office, I think have the hardest two jobs in our entire office, because we get all sorts of calls from all different types of people, and it's quite busy, as you can imagine, and they do a wonderful job. When you call our office, unlike a lot of things these days, you don't get a recording. You talk to a human being, and they do their best to help you. Probably the most common question we get is from somebody that has recently been arrested, and they'll call and they'll want to talk to us about their case. And what we do for their protection, because we don't want them to say something that could inadvertently get them in more trouble.
Well, do you get them a defense attorney?
Well, we'll encourage them to get an attorney, and they can ask if they can't afford an attorney. They can ask the court to appoint an attorney, but we do encourage people
Now,
not to talk to
the
us
attorney,
directly.
do they come out of, does that come out of your office?
No, that's a separate office through the county, the Lake County Public Defender's Office, and they represent indigent clients in Lake County.
I see. But they call you to get the information.
We do see that quite often, where people will call or they'll just say they'll want to call and give sort of their side of the story, and we have to explain to them that you really need to get an attorney, and there's this court process that we have to go through.
Another area I'd like to get into, because I've had a lot of people contact me on it, is identity theft.
Yes, yes.
That's a big area.
That's a huge area, and we can do an hour show probably on just that if we wanted. But that's an area that again, I would offer out to groups if they want us to come out and give a presentation. We will. I have investigators in my office that specialize in that, and sadly, we see a lot of that. And elder abuse and identity theft are two areas where they're particularly tough to investigate and prosecute, and particularly evil. And when I say that, what I mean is, most often you'll find that the perpetrator of those crimes is somebody that's either a family member of the victim, sometimes a son or a daughter or a grandson or a granddaughter.
Trying to get their money?
Exactly, and they're stealing from their mother or their father or their grandmother, or a caretaker that's taking advantage of somebody that has placed trust in them. So that's what makes those cases particularly evil, in my opinion, because you have people taking advantage of others.
Well, now, when you're talking about elder abuse, now that is a huge window, because there's elder abuse financially,
Right.
there's elder abuse physically,
Right.
there's elder abuse in nursing homes, there's elder abuse
Right.
like living with their own family. So just to sum it up, if anybody has even any suspicions of any kind of abuse,
Right.
they should call your office and check it out.
Call us, call the police. There are certain things to look for, and again, we could talk a lot about this, but if your loved one is in a facility and you're concerned, some of the things to what you want to look for are just basic changes in behavior. If somebody that's normally outgoing becomes withdrawn, or vice versa, or their caretaker is suddenly getting very close and they're going out to lunch together every day. Things like that, those are things to look for to make sure that somebody's not being taken advantage of. If it's physical abuse, you want to look for signs of physical abuse like bruising or other injuries. financial issues. And financial identity theft is the crime that all of us, myself included, are most likely to become victims of. It's not a crime that just focuses on seniors, although we do see a lot of seniors that become victims of identity theft. And really one of the biggest reasons why is seniors have something that a lot of us don't have, a lot of younger people don't have, which is good credit. Seniors work very hard, they make good decisions throughout their life, and they have good credit, and they have financial means, and people will come in and take advantage of that. So some of the things you really want to do is number one, and most importantly, protect your Social Security number like it's the most valuable thing you have, because it is.
Don't give it to anyone.
Right, right. The other thing we recommend to do is periodically go on one of the three main credit reporting agencies like Experian and so on and so forth, and check your own credit. And why would you do that? Obviously, you're not necessarily maybe concerned about your credit score, but what you'll see then when you check your credit is you'll see if, for example, if somebody opened up a credit card in your name or bought a house in your name, that's where you'll see that. What makes identity theft sometimes difficult is it's likely to have gone on for some time before you'll even know that you've been a victim. If somebody breaks in and steals your TV, you know it happened, and you can call the police and they can work on it right away.
But on identity theft,
it can be going on for months or sometimes even years, and you don't even know what's happening. So that's why we do recommend check your credit, because that's one of the surest ways that you will find out if somebody has opened up a line of credit. Again, most commonly is a credit card in your name. Another scam we're seeing recently here in Lake County, and I've gone around and I've given presentations to senior groups on this issue, and everywhere I go somebody brings up the fact that this has happened to them, where somebody will call you and pretend to be a loved one, a granddaughter or a grandson, and say, Grandma, I'm in trouble, I'm down in Mexico, I'm down here for spring break, don't tell my mom, I don't want you, but can you wire me $1,000 to get me out of jail, because I don't want to be in this jail. And people react emotionally, and their first instinct is
they want to help.
They want to help, and people will take advantage of that too.
Yeah.
So just really think before you act is something that we should all be doing. And but the biggest thing with identity theft is protect your Social Security number. And I would really recommend everybody invest in a shredder and shred everything.
Shred everything. Now, you have been in this position for a couple of years, and what gratification do you get out of it?
Well, I love it. I think I have the best job in all of law. I really do. I get the opportunity to work with a great office full of people. There's 150 people in my office, and they're all dedicated professionals that go to work every day, and they do it because they care and they want to help people. And if I walk the halls of my office at 8 o'clock at night, oftentimes there's people still working, and they don't get overtime. They're there just because they care and they want to make a difference. And we get to make a difference every single day. We get to help people. We get to put bad guys in jail, so to speak. We also get to give people that deserve it a second chance. And it's just a wonderful job where we have the opportunity to really make a difference. And as a father, when I look at some of the issues like heroin that are plaguing our high schools and some of these issues that are going on, I get to do more than just be a frustrated parent. I get to do something about it, and it's pretty neat.
Well, Mike, you have really brought us some vital information. We're going to have you come back periodically and keep us updated what's going on, because we want to stay on top of it and know, what our protection and what our rights and what we should avoid and what we should not avoid. And now you know what time it is. When you out there, I'm talking to you sitting on the couch, come to the end of your rope, you tie a knot and hang on. You know why? Because the best is yet to come. And what we want you all to do this week is catch the spirit.